Are you struggling to get your Australian Shepherd puppy to walk beautifully to heel, nice on a loose lead by your left hand side? Well, don't worry at all, because that is exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Welcome to the Fenrir Australian Shepherd Show. If you are new here, my name's Will. I'm a canine behaviourist and I'm the founder and CEO of FenrirCanineLeaders.com, and this channel is dedicated to helping you learn everything you could possibly ever want to know about the amazing Aussie Shepherd, and then how to become a high-level canine leader that can raise perfect Australian Shepherd companions. So start your incredible journey with this amazing breed by hitting that subscribe button, turning on that little notification bell, and you'll never miss a future Australian Shepherd video. But let's dive straight into today's video. And as a canine behaviourist, one of the most common problem behaviours that most owners come to me with, and in particular Australian Shepherd owners, will come to me saying that they love the Australian Shepherd, it's a wonderful little breed. However, they're having loads of difficulty with walking it, it's pulling on a lead, might be creating a little bit of reactivity towards other dogs or other inanimate objects, and they're really struggling with being able to get the dog to walk nicely. And walking is turning from what should be an amazing experience through to what is quite a miserable experience. Now, that is kind of my bread and butter as a canine behaviourist, and we have excellent success rates. We've been able to help people kind of rehabilitate and modify that behaviour, but it is much, much easier to be able to start as you mean to go on and teach lovely heel work from the second you bring your new Aussie Shepherd puppy home. And I would much rather help you achieve that easily first time round, rather than you have to wait for it to go wrong and then go through the heartache and spend thousands on professional help to then be able to fix the problem. So how we go about teaching a new Australian Shepherd puppy to walk nicely to heel is quite easy. It's a straightforward process. However, it does require commitment and dedication. But if that sounds like you're willing to put in, I promise you're going to have extremely high levels of success, because the Australian Shepherd is such an easy to train dog breed. They're a pleasure to work with, and especially as a puppy, they're so malleable, and we can really dive into how intelligent they are and how eager to work they are and how eager to please they are to have these incredible levels of success. Now, in my Perfect Puppy program, we go over heel walking at length. It's one of my mandatory obedience requirements for all puppies if we want perfect canine companions. But I'm going to give you kind of the overarching theme and the step-by-step process that we go through. But if you do want kind of really incredibly detailed breakdown, then the link will be down in the description box for that. But what we do is I kind of go through a 4-step process with all of the Australian Shepherd puppies that I go through and helping owners with those puppies. And to start with, we use a process called lure, mark and reinforce. And all we do is we use a lure, which can be a lure in stick, it can be a little bit of meat. I like to use a little bit of meat. I find it much easier, and it's something that people have more access to, and it's just a more straightforward process. But we get the little bit of meat in front of the dog's nose so we can get their attention and we can lure them. We simply lure them into the right position, which is nicely by our left hand side. When we get there, we mark that behaviour with heel, and then we reinforce it by giving them access to the food reward. Dead straightforward. We repeat that over and over again in an extremely low distraction environment, like here in our Fenrir studio. There's no people around, it's quiet, there's no noises, and we just do it nice and calmly, and we repeat it and repeat it. And once we get to that stage, the dog will very quickly learn, especially a breed as intelligent as Aussie Shepherds, that the term, the marker, heel, or whatever word you want to use, you can use any word that you want as long as we're consistent, means be on my left hand side, look up to me for guidance and direction, and something good is going to happen. Once you get to that level, which can be done very quickly, congratulations, you have taught the foundation and the basic principle of walking a dog to heel. Then we move on through the next days and weeks. We go to the next stage, which we start to layer up that principle. So we might start adding some 90-degree turns, luring them, marking them, reinforce it. 180-degree turns, 270, 360, both clockwise and anti-clockwise, luring the dog into the right position, and when they're there, we mark and reinforce. Again, we make it a really positive, fun, exciting experience. Then we start to add in some steps. So we might go a few steps forward, 90-degree clockwise turn, we're luring them the whole way, marking it with the term heel, we reinforce, reward, and we just make it such a fun, positive game, and the dog will very quickly learn to associate that this term, heel, means that I want you by my left-hand side, whether I'm stood still in one direction, whether I'm turning in different directions, or whether we're moving forward. I always want you nicely by my left-hand side, looking up to me for guidance and direction. So that's step 2. We work on that over the following weeks, days and weeks, and we really build up that foundation layer. Once we get to that stage, we then at that point add in the lead. All of this has been done so far with no lead because we don't want to create any confusion early on. So we've now got the dog to understand, excellent, you are on my left-hand side. As part of my Perfect Puppy program, during the basic obedience drill that we've been doing from day one, we've been getting the dog used to having a lead put on and off, and remaining calm and relaxed. We don't want it to create excitement or send the energy through the roof like with so many dogs. We make it a nice, calm, fun, easy experience. It means nothing, lead on or off. At this stage, we then add the lead and we go through exactly the same process. And we're slowly starting to bring that idea together that when this lead is on, I want you to heel, which we've been working on in this really fun game, and the two things mean the same thing. So when the lead's on, I want you on my left-hand side, looking up to me for guidance and direction. Whether we're stood still or whether we're moving in any direction, I want you here on my left-hand side. If you do that for me, good things are going to happen. I'm going to praise you, we're going to reinforce you, you're going to get treats. Fantastic. Then we move to the next step, which is about slowly but surely layering up distractions, layering up time, layering up the distance, and removing slowly again the marking and the reinforcement, because we don't want a 3-year-old Aussie Shepherd that we're constantly having to mark and reinforce every 3 or 4 steps. We want to get to a point where we just go out for a walk and the dog automatically, without having to be told, nicely at all circumstances walks to our left-hand side. That is the essence of what we're trying to achieve. So we slowly start to move out of this low distraction environment. We go outside, low distraction, outside. Then we might go to a quiet road. Then we might go to a slightly busier road. Then we might go to a park with no distractions, and then a park with dogs 100, 200 meters away. And again, slowly but surely, we build it up. We set our dogs up for success, and then we praise and reward that success. Going through that process with patience and consistency is absolutely key. Once we get to that stage, we just simply keep working on that all the way up until eventually we can be walking through Times Square at the most busiest time of the year, and the dog will still be on our left-hand side, loose lead, looking up to us for guidance and direction. And that is the essence of how we teach a puppy to walk to heel from day one without all the heartbreak and the financial implications of having to get a professional to do it for you or unpick it, because the principle of doing it right first time round isn't difficult. It's not rocket science. We've just broke that down in a few minutes. However, what is challenging is the level of commitment and dedication from you as the canine leader that is required day by day, week by week, and month by month. Are you prepared to put in that level of discipline and hard work? If you are, fantastic. You are going to be an incredibly high level canine leader with a perfect Aussie Shepherd. If you're not, you're flaky, you're a little bit lazy, you don't want to put the effort in, then don't be surprised if those bad behaviors start to slip in. It really isn't rocket science, and we're trying to encourage you to get it right first time round. Now, there is a few kind of common problem areas that people will run up against when trying to go through this process of teaching a puppy to heel. The first one being the negative lead association. Now, again, part of my Perfect Puppy program is that I try and get people to not utilize the lead at all, unless we're doing our basic Fenrir drill where we're getting them used to the lead coming off and on, and then until we're ready to move to the step where we add the lead to heel walking, because again, we want that lead to be closely, impeccably associated with, if this lead is on, I am by my owner's left-hand side. Regard, that's it. Now, what a lot of people will do is when we go out socializing our dog and exercising our dog and meeting other people, and part of training that we might do outdoors, they'll put the dog on a lead. The dog will be running around, bouncing all over the end of the lead, every which direction, making decisions for itself. We do that for a few weeks. That becomes an ingrained habit. And then we move on to the part of heel training where we add the lead, and we expect the dog to then naturally straight away be able to drop in. And all we're doing is confusing the dog. We've set the dog up to fail. We get frustrated, we blame the dog, and then things start to devolve quickly. That is our fault. We have set the dog up for failure. We need to reverse that, set the dog up for success, and then be able to praise and reinforce that success. So what I recommend doing is, wherever possible, not using the leads that you're going to be walking your dog with. Now, what that doesn't mean is that you can take any kind of risk or chance with your dog where safety might be jeopardized. We want to make sure that we keep our puppy safe under all scenarios. So if we're going out to do socialization or exercise in an environment where we cannot guarantee safety and success, then instead of putting them on an extendable lead, or just have them on their lead normally and allowing them to bounce all out over the lead all over the place, what we want to do is utilize a long line lead, or even cheaper, just get a run of paracord. You can get them at 100 meters long if you want to, tie it onto their collar and then drop it on the floor. That doesn't create any kind of miscommunication because we're not holding the lead. The dog will very quickly forget that the leads are even there and that they're just running around as normal, and we're allowing them to do that. However, if there's one of those God forbid situations where we need to intervene to keep the dog safe, we can quickly pick it up off the floor and reel them back into safety. We can always make sure that we can ensure safety, which is the most important thing. So that's a common place where people go wrong. The next couple of common places where people go wrong is around rushing things, going too quickly with the process, and not being patient. Now, with a breed like an Aussie Shepherd, this is incredibly common because they are so easy to train, so much fun to train, and so eager to please, so intelligent. It's just, they're a wonderful breed. One of the reasons why we love them so much. And what you'll find is in those early stages, they'll pick it up really quickly, and it's very tempting to want to go, oh, awesome, let's move on to the next stage, let's move on to the next stage. Then they do find an environment that's highly distracting. They get distracted, they fail, they start pulling on the lead, they start getting drawn elsewhere, they're not paying attention up to you. We get frustrated, again, we blame it on the dog, and things start to devolve. That's not what we want to do. We want to stick to the process. We want to be patient. A good leader is calm and patient under all circumstances. Rather than setting our dog up to fail, then what we want to do is flip it and set it up for success by being patient, taking small steps, and then reinforcing and rewarding that success. Celebrate that success highly and lavishly. Now, when people rush things and they're not patient, what will happen is your dog will fail. And then that leaves us in with two options if your dog fails while we're heel training them. Now, if you're following a positive only methodology of dog training, which to each their own, everybody can make their own decision. If you're following that positive only situation and a dog fails, because we're only usually utilizing positive reinforcement of the 4 areas of operant conditioning, we've got no way of correcting the dog or letting them know, no, I don't want you to do that. What positive reinforcement is excellent at is about saying, yes, I like that, that's brilliant, please do it more, which is why we want to set them up for success. Now, if we set them up to fail and we use a balanced approach, well, then we can correct them. We can use verbal correction up to physical correction. There's lots of different things that you can do. A lot of people will say that they don't work. It's not that they don't work, they do work, but it's whether you feel comfortable utilizing a training method like that. But we have to correct them. And then again, it's about your comfortability with being able to correct them. Now, I am a balance trainer and being a behaviorist, and I work with some of the most aggressive dogs that are trying to kill other dogs that are on death row, are ready to be put down. Oftentimes I have to come in and utilize a balanced approach, and I have to be able to correct the dog in order to be able to save that dog's life. Now, just because I utilize that methodology in terms of extremes of canine behavior modification and rehabilitation doesn't mean that that is what we should be doing when we're training puppies. When we're training a puppy from scratch, I like to live wherever possible in all positive reinforcement, but to achieve that, we must set our dog up for success to then be able to praise and reward that success. If we don't want to correct a dog, then we have a responsibility to remove the variables of failure and to ensure that they don't fail. Because if we allow them to fail and we don't correct them because we're not using any methodology that allows for correction, then that behavior will start to happen more and more because the dog isn't learning that that's not what it should do. And a behavior like pulling on a lead is a very self-rewarding behavior for the dog. And if we're not saying, no, don't do that, then that behavior will start to happen much more quickly. And then you're on a slippery slope downhill. So be patient, be calm, be consistent, and be good leaders. And I promise you, you and your Aussie Shepherd will be the envy of everybody that sees you when you're walking with a beautiful, glorious dog, loose lead by your left-hand side, looking to you as its leader for guidance and direction under all circumstances. And that is the essence of having a perfect canine companion. So I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you are new here. We make 2 new Australian Shepherd videos every single week. So if you're an Aussie Shepherd lover, I promise you there's something here on this channel for you. And I can't wait to see you again on the next episode of the Fenrir Aussie Shepherd Show.